Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. Today we are going to look at the second half of Karen Burniston's latest release. Last time we looked and focused on the playful pop-up and the character add-ons for that. And today we're going to look at all of the pop-up balls and the new add-on set for that, plus the access tab. So if you have used the balls in the past, you know that the rubber band can break or fall off or something. Rubber bands have a limited lifespan. These access tabs will let us get back into that ball easily, replace it, and then close the ball back up. So we'll look at these here in a minute. I was thrilled when these came out because this is what I'll use on all of my new pop-ups going forward. So let's look at the animal add-ons. They're all bugs. So we have a grasshopper, a bumblebee, and a ladybug. And when I opened up my package after getting all my dies in the mail, I had this really neat postcard from Karen Burniston. And this shows you some of the characters in the past. So the bugs are great. The animal add-on sticks are a great addition to all of these characters. I have a lot of these just made up like this to use for decor around the house in addition to using them in a card. So let's start with the ladybug. And the outside of all my cards are super simple. They're a band. You can use a flap. There's a number of different ways you can close your card because there's so much pressure on the inside of the card with the pop-up. We've got to do something that has a little strength to keep the card closed. So the bands are super easy, and they also serve as a decoration to my card because all of the actions on the inside. Now, if you wanted, you could add more on the outside. But if I take the band off, then my card easily pops open, and you have that great ladybug. And I'm using a ball that I had, and then the add-on pieces make the face and the little red polka dotted spots plus the wings. This ball that I'm using is the bitty ball. So what's great about the add-ons, you can use it for any size ball. The bitty ball, the surprise ball, which is the largest, and the mini ball, which is the smallest. And the bitty ball is like the medium-sized ball. And in all honesty, I could never remember which is smaller, the bitty or the mini. So this is how I finally decided I'm going to remember it. B comes before M in the alphabet, so bitty is larger than mini. That's the only way I can try to remember it. So this is the size ball for the ladybug that I used. Again, I could use all of the ladybug parts on the mini ball or on the surprise ball. One other thing that I like with these, all of the ball sets have a double up. So this is a bitty ball double up, which gives me all of these pieces in addition to the base piece. So these little pieces here, you won't really be able to see them, but they're the second layer, like on the black bottom, the black half of my ball. And there's 6 sides. So let's say I didn't have these red pieces. If I needed this black side twice, I need 6 plus 6. So in your die set, in the ball die set, they have all those pieces, but they're all individual. This die allows me to cut them out all at once. So I love this because I do make quite a few pop-up balls. This just speeds up the process for me. So I love the set. It's optional, but if you make a number of the balls, it can come in handy. So what else did I use for my ladybug to decorate the card? My little pine branches are from the new pine cone die. And I had those already cut out, and I figured, I know ladybugs are on plant leaves, but they could probably also be on a pine branch as well. So they're soft, and I liked how they looked with my ladybug. And then all I have to do is press her down and fold the card in half. And then for mailing it, just put on my band. And for the band, the ladybugs that I actually used are from the Playful Pop-Up die. Just because I had that, these are nice size. You can see one is flying and like one is sitting with the wings. The leaves are also from this die set. So I used those, but if you have the bug borders, you could cut apart some of these ladybugs and use those on the card as well. These are a little smaller than the ones in the playful pop-up, but they would work just as well. So that's a look at the ladybug. So let's take and I will say, one more thing here. The bug greetings are the stamp sets that coordinate so great with the Animal Add-on 6, all of the bugs. So for the bee, let's take a look at that one. So this time on the outside, again, I have a very simple outside. You could add more to this if you wanted. I just kept it super simple because just like the ladybug, all my action is on the inside. Now this bee is made with the surprise pop-up. That's the largest ball. And this card base, I believe I want to say is 5.5 by 5.5. It's a little larger than the other one that I used. This one also has the surprise ball double up. So if you want to use that, you can do that. Again, the original surprise ball die does have all the side pieces. So whatever works best for you. On this one, the yellow is the top half of the bee, and then I just drew in these lines. You can see how that's done here. There's no special piece just for the black. If I flatten this out, I draw these all in before I put them on, or I put them on this top layer, but I don't pop it up yet. So if I could raise the wings up, you would see kind of how these are all lined up. Easy just to take a black marker and draw those in. And then the wings are the same as the ladybug, except they've got this other little piece. Instead of the circles like the polka dots, we've got this other little piece that we can add to the wings. And then the feet and the face are the same. If you have a honeycomb, I'm going to dig a honeycomb out. That would be great as a base. But I knew I had all these large one-piece dies to cover like the base of my card from Karen, so I pulled out the flower pattern plate. Whatever you have, there's some other ones I could use from Karen. You might have a honeycomb somewhere in your stash. That would be a great one to use as well. I will just make kind of an odd comment here. This little white piece I added because the base wasn't big enough or wide enough to cover the whole bottom of my card base. So I just added these strips of paper, but when I got done, it just looked to me like the liner to double-sided tape. So I didn't like that. So I just added a black squiggly line so it didn't look like I had laid double-sided tape down and forgot to take the liner off. For the sentiment, is from the bug readings as well. And because I had so much space up here and I didn't want to have to figure out how I was going to decorate that, I knew I had this embossing folder. This is from Spellbinders, the molded frame, but the sentiment fit perfectly on the inside of this. So that's why I decided I'm just going to stamp and cut out that square to fit inside that embossing folder just to make it easier to decorate the whole big top side of my card. But I love that bee. So let me push him down, and I want to show you, I'm going to show you this too. I couldn't decide. I thought this at first was sort of plain for my bees. I did use the bug borders, and I did cut it apart. So I've got 2 and 3. So I did kind of cut that apart. And I still just that's kind of boring. I need something for the outer edge. So I went back to the border blends from Karen. I think this is one of her first border dies, and just picked out one of them that I like that I could just add a little pizzazz to my band. And then I thought I have another idea. So I took just the wings and the top part of the face to make another idea for the border, and then added a couple of the bees from the bug border. So that's just another look. Even though I didn't use the whole face, now I could have used the whole face, but whatever you want to do, that's just another idea to use the pieces of the die if you want to coordinate it with what's on the inside. Okay, so let's look at the grasshopper. Now, the grasshopper, I made like the one in the picture here. So it's 2 balls. This time I used the mini ball pop-up. This is the smallest ball. Now, you could do the same thing with the bitty ball and the surprise ball. You can put them together in just the same way. There's the size of that. And then again, the mini ball double up, which this was ideal for this one. I could just cut this one piece out 4 times because I've got 6 times 4, 24 sides that I need to cover up. So this was super easy rather than having to take each of these individual pieces, lay them out and cut them out 4 times. So again, that just, if you make enough of these mini balls, that might be a good die to invest in. Let me show you how this one works. So we fold the bottom and we fold the top down. Now, I didn't stop and think much about this one, and I'll show you something to consider. But that's how we can get it in a card base. And I will make another one of these and put it in a card base. Let's pretend this is our card base, this embossing folder. Not big enough for him, but you see how that works. And then he's attached to the bottom and he can spring open. But I wanted to do this so you can see how great this grasshopper jumps. I'm going to use him just for home decor. I love him. When you make him and put him together, if you're not sure how to figure this part out, use a glue dot. And so you can kind of see what pieces, 2 top, pick 2 squares from the top. And then you can see how he folds over. So you can play with that a little bit before you got him all together. The other thing you want to consider is these antenna pieces. I guess I didn't realize grasshoppers had this piece, but if I fold this down, mine barely clears his body. So next time I will separate these a little more. You cut them separate. I'll just kind of stick them out more to the side, and you could even tuck them down a little farther behind this top, the second layer here of his face, just so they don't collide with his body. And then you just cut out his legs. Now, when you first put this together, he's going to fall over because he's head heavy, he's top heavy. But once you get the legs on, the front legs, that will help hold him up. And if he's in a card base and you glue him down, that will hold him up as well. But I doubled up his front legs, and I think I'm going to double up his back legs since I'm just going to keep him out for a home decor piece, this guy anyway. And then that will give him some added strength to hold his head up. But I love him. Now, let's see here. We've covered all these guys, and for the grasshopper, you can see the legs and the antenna are the pieces to turn your balls into a grasshopper. And again, all these pieces fit on all size balls, so you may want to make a surprise or a bitty ball grasshopper. On all of these, I have used the new bitty ball access tabs. Let me take this one here, and I'm going to show you here on one that I had to repair. But Karen's video talks about the access tabs, and she also shows you how to build one of the animals again from scratch. So if it's been a long time since you've done one of the balls, this is a great video because then she has what she calls best practices about the best ideas for this. So on our new balls, and I have to kind of look to see which side it is, but there's 2 of these tabs so that we can access. Let's see, they're hidden so well. Let's see if I can find it here. But you can get back in here. Let me fold it down. I think that makes it easier. It's on the other side. This is, your recipient will never know where this is. You'll have to replace the ball if it goes flat. But let me try to open one of these tabs very gently here, and it can come open. There we go. So, and then this other one opens as well. And now I can access that rubber band on the inside. So if that breaks, I can get in there and replace those. And then you can just, if you squish this down a little bit, it's easier to fold those pieces back in. But I want to show you one that I did, and I have a bunch of them where I need to replace the rubber bands. And there is a access tab for each size ball. So the bitty, the surprise, and the mini, because the size of this tab is different on each one. And now when I make all my new balls going forward, I will put the side, just like I did here with these two tabs, so then I can get in there and replace them. Now, I have this elephant, which is kind of made like the grasshopper, and he was totally flat. Both of the balls are flat because the rubber bands had basically dried up and fallen apart. So when I made these original ones, you make the ball, put the rubber band in there, glue the sides together with the tabs, and then you pick the side that you thought was best for the face. So in my new ones, the tabs will always be on the side, but in my old ones, that's not necessarily the case. When I looked at the head, you can peek in there and you can see where that rubber band is, because you don't want to cut the side where the rubber band is hooked. So I wouldn't want to open up this side, because then I'd be getting rid of what holds the rubber band. But one of the sides is let's see here, is the front. So this side and this side hold the rubber bands. I don't want to access that. So I can't access the back one, and I didn't want to access the front one because I don't want to cut off everything on his face. So mine on this one are across from each other. And then that way, between my fingers and some tweezers, I could get in there and replace that rubber band. Then when I go to close it back up, I just took my scissors. Let me just close this here. Let's actually look over here. I just took my scissors and I cut along there, just that little piece here, and then I just tore off the little tabs, the remaining pieces of the tabs. You'll see where those are, to put these new access tabs on them. So in the future, when this rubber band dries out and falls apart, I can open him up and get into him. Now, I did the same thing on the bottom here. This one, I opened this head up first. I should have looked at this more closely. Again, I have this one and this one I can't touch because that's where the rubber band is attached. I can't access this back one. I could do this side, which is what I did access, and I put it back together, and then this one. I could have done the tail end, and that's what I should have done, because then I would have two together. But however you get in there, it is helpful to have two sides open, whether they're next to each other or across from each other. And then you can use your fingers and your tweezers and get in there and replace those rubber bands. And then again, I press this down a little bit, and it's a little easier if it's not popped up to close this up. Let's see if I can do this one here, sitting flat. There we go. Okay, and I'll close the head up, but now you can see how nicely that closes up, and you really don't know that's there. And then I had a leg that I took off on this side and this side. I'll glue those back on, and then I'll close the head up as well. And my elephant is ready to move forward, looking like nothing had ever happened. So again, if you have some old pop-ups, it isn't impossible to get back in there. Again, watch Karen's video, because that gives you a lot of good hints. And then when you go to close it back up, put on these access tabs, so the next time you have to replace one of those rubber bands, super, super simple. And if you're making some new ones, just make two of the sides those access tabs. Just make sure when you go to decorate it, you don't decorate though over one of the access tabs, or that kind of, makes it useless to be able to open the pop-up ball in the future. So there's our 3 new animals. Plus they have new access tabs for when their rubber bands break or shrivel up and go flat. Then you can get in there and easily replace them and give your characters new life. So before I end, let me show you a couple other things. I just got so excited about the pop-up balls there. I wanted to do something with the bug borders, and I could do this idea with the new cat and dog and monster borders as well. Or I should just say cat and dog borders. But here's the bug borders, and I just cut these out. I love these grasshoppers because, I haven't seen too many grasshopper dies out there. This is a beetle. I looked up what a beetle looks like, and there's all sorts of beetles. This is a Colorado potato beetle. I like the yellow, and I just lined those up. I think that was a very colorful and bright looking card using the borders. And then on the inside, I would just use crawling by to say hi from the bug greetings. And again, using the greeting labels that fit those stamps so perfectly. And then I wanted also to use the pine cone set on its own for a couple of cards. So let me show you what I did with that real quick. Super simple, just to use the small pine cone and one of the branches. And then there is this other set that I love the sentiments on this, the Quiet Forest stamp set. You can take a look at what those sentiments are. So wishing you moments of stillness beneath wide skies and tall trees. I have a sympathy card that I need to send, and I think I'm going to be using one of these sentiments because I think it's appropriate, but it's without saying, deepest sympathy. And again, if you recall, these are really dimensional pine cones. We can pull up these little pieces on the outside, which I did originally, and kind of put a little bit of gold paint, diluted gold paint on there, and then inked around it again. And I also used this in a slimline card because I wanted to use these other branches. So again, love the layout of this. This is pretty much like what's in the picture here. I just used 2 pine cones. And then Wishing You Simple Joys and Quiet Moments is also from the Quiet Forest stamp set. So this is another good die set, whether we're doing a slimline card or an A2 size card. So again, beautiful stamp set we can use year round, not just in the winter or the holidays. So that truly is it for right now. And we've taken a look at all the great dies of that 15 die set and 5 new stamp set collection that came out from Karen Burniston. So if you are into the pop-up balls, you've got some new bugs you can make now. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again in a future video.